Open Radio Network is brought to you by 511 Tactical. Always be ready. By OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, inspiring scientific study. By Ticklicker Firearms, 2017 Gold Winner for Best the Mid-Valley Outdoor Gear Store. By Creation Evidence Museum of Texas, God's Word in 6 days. And by the Wildlife Safari, America's top cheetah breeding program. You are closer to Africa than you think.
Welcome back, everyone. You are watching the Ropen Network, and Salem is listening. Joining me today, my fellow comrade, Garth Guessman is back. Hi, Garth. How you doing?
Very good.
Glad to have you here as always, bringing your insight of what you know, and hopefully we can help shed some light on this mystery here that is going to be a very interesting topic. Also joining me on the Ropen Network is our guest, Peter Otto. He hails from the coastal city of Ventura, California. Welcome, Peter. We're glad to have you today.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you and I have been chatting for over a year now, and finally got you on the show. It seems to me that you have some sort of strange phenomena in your neck of the woods, and you've been capturing this for a while now. And now's our chance to try and discuss this and see if we can come to conclusion of what it might be, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, gentlemen, before we begin, our discussion is centered around what many experts would agree is a ghostly phenomena in some sort of a way. However, there are a few, such as I and Garth, that believe the phenomena is potentially organic. I am referring to orbs, of course, strange lights that have been seen worldwide. Now, in different parts of the world, they are known as the Will-O-Wisp, if anyone's heard of that. In folklore, a Will-O-Wisp is an atmospheric ghost light seen by travelers at night, especially over bogs, swamps, marshes, and other places. The phenomenon is known as in English folklore and much of European folklore as well by a variety of names, including jack-o'-lantern, which is very weird, friar's lantern, and the hinky punk, and is said to mislead travelers by resembling flickering lamps or lanterns. In literature, will-o'-wisp metaphorically refers to a hope or a goal that leads one on but is impossible to reach, or something one finds strange or sinister. The will-o'-wisp appears in folk tales and traditional legends of numerous countries and culture. Notably, will-o'-wisps include the St. Louis light in Saskatchewan, the Spook light in southwestern Missouri, and northeastern Oklahoma, the Marfa lights of Texas as well, which Garth and I are familiar with. Maybe you too, Peter. Also, the Naga fireballs on the Megong in Thailand. Throughout history, the will-o'-wisps are typically attributed to ghosts, fairies, or elemental spirits. However, if you want to look at it from a more scientific analysis, modern science explains the light as an aspect of natural phenomena such as bioluminescence, chemiluminescence caused by the oxidation of phosphorescence and methane produced by gases from decaying plants in marshy areas. Okay, so this asks the question, what has this got to do with cryptozoology? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Sometimes there's a pattern. I've heard people tell me that there's some sort of this glow is emitting from some sort of flying animal, some sort of flying creature. That's the key, okay? Peter, you've been looking at this for a while in your part of California, Ventura. You've also gone as far as Africa, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about two different things here, okay? But let's focus on this, what you potentially saw in Africa. And tell me what part of Africa that was.
That was in Ghana, which is in West Africa.
Okay.
And it's in the city of Accra, which is the capital. It's a little bit inland from there.
Okay. How close are you to your phone right now, Peter?
Pretty close.
Okay, good. And you can hear him just fine, Garth?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right.
Sounds good.
You believe you captured an image of something. when you were out there.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I was photographing in the evening, and I was seeing tons of hawks and stuff. So, but I thought it was a hawk at first, or eagle, whatever, a bird of prey. And then as I was clicking, I saw it dive into the frame, basically.
Okay.
And I didn't think that much of it at first, until I looked at the pictures like a week later.
Okay. So
But
you have an impression that you've seen something different other than a bird.
yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I have it here in front of me.
Okay. Garth, why don't you go into that?
It looks like a pretty plain raptor of some sort. You can see the feathers on one of the wings. He's outstretched. His legs are in grab position. And then there's another, looks like another bird of prey possibly, similar size. And he is almost at a right angle to it. And you can't see the legs on that one. Is that the same one you're looking at?
It is. Peter, tell us about that.
It really doesn't look like a hawk here.
So
Those
I guess...
feathers are square.
Okay. Sorry to cut you off, but I guess I'm trying to understand. You believe this is something else. You don't believe this is a bird.
Yeah.
Is it a bird attacking another bird, or is it a bird attacking something that's not a bird?
I think the one on the right that's being bitten is like a big bat.
Okay. How far away were you from it?
Well, this was a 300 millimeter lens, so wasn't probably not that far away.
Okay, just give me a rough guess.
100 feet, maybe.
100 feet. Okay. Garth, when you're looking at that image, does it stand out as something else?
Well, before I give my speculation on it, I'd like to hear Peter give your interpretation of what you've taken a picture of here.
Well, it's kind of hard because he's fighting the thing. You kind of have to follow the thing.
Well, I kind of can see what you're talking about. Do you see a partially open mouth in it, reaching towards the one? Okay.
Mhm.
I could see where you could see that. But tell me kind of like, give me a little story of what was happening with this as you were taking, maybe just before you were taking the picture and when you were taking the picture. Tell me, step by step what you were seeing.
I was just seeing a lot of birds in the air, and then this one kind of dramatically came in and grabbed. But then for 30 minutes almost, I kept hearing what can only be described as like the Jurassic Park T-Rex call. It wouldn't stop. First I thought it was somebody watching a movie or something, but that scene didn't last that long. It's the baby call.
A what call?
The baby T-Rex that they did in
Okay.
Jurassic World, the original one in 91.
Yeah. So it kind of sounded like the adult one, but on a miniature scale, something like that.
No,
like
actually, it
higher
sounded like
pitch,
the baby.
quite as intense.
No, exactly
Okay.
like the baby call. If you look it up on YouTube, it actually has, they redid that one.
Okay.
Pretty strange.
So you believe this is something else other than an avian type, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. At 100 feet away, you think you can clearly differentiate feathers on something like this?
And you can see the feathers look strange on it. It looks something more bony than it does.
Okay. When I look at that
Did I
picture,
hear-
go ahead,
Did I
Garth.
hear you right, Peter, that the creature that's attacking had feathers or not? I'm missing that.
No, I don't think it's feathers.
I'm looking at that photo as well.
Mm.
It's really, it's
It
a
looks
little
strange.
difficult. It does look a little unique when you compare it to the other bird next to it. It could be just by the angle of the shot. What time was this at, Peter?
It was early evening, before the sunset, but
Okay,
like probably 6:30.
6:30.
Mm-hmm.
What time of the month? What month?
It was in September,
Okay.
first week in September. Like, it was on a Sunday.
Okay, so the days are getting a little shorter at that point.
They last pretty long in Africa
Okay.
because the seasons are reversed there.
Okay. I'd like to get a little bit more opinion here from Garth
Mm-hmm.
as I look at this photo. It's
Okay, Peter, keep going with the story. This one creature on the left attacked the creature on the right, and then what happened? What more did you see?
I have a few other shots, but I think I sent them a while ago. But where you see just the one creature that's being attacked.
yeah. Just tell us about that.
The skin doesn't look right. It barely has a head. But
Well, what happened after that is what Garth is wondering. What happened next?
well, what I heard next was the sound for like a half an hour.
So, did you lose sight of it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. There was trees or bushes in the area, and it just, started to cover your
Yeah,
visual of
it
it?
was a hotel kind of thing that we were at.
Hotels, okay, gotcha. All right.
Like a day breakfast and bed and breakfast.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks, Peter. I think I got enough
Yeah.
understanding about what you saw. Definitely cool, very cool. You saw a really nice action shot of something that was probably getting something similar to its own size for dinner. I mean,
Yeah.
It doesn't get much more cool than that.
Yeah.
That shows amazing agility and capability. It doesn't make me sway one way or the other about whether it was a bird, a ropen, or another bat. I would have to see more anatomy and physiology, or hear some more convincing description of things you saw. But definitely a really cool shot. It's kind of a privilege to see anything in such an action pose, that you actually get to see it all happening, even though you didn't see it for just a few minutes. But you were able to have the presence of mind to get your camera and get a pretty cool shot.
Yeah.
That's difficult to do, that's for sure. Are you an avian enthusiast, Peter?
Did you want to talk about another one, or was that enough there, Jake?
I just want to ask this last question here. Have you been studying avian types?
Yeah, I've been bird watching since I was like 7 or 8.
Okay. So you're familiar with some birds. Okay. All right. Very helpful. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the next image that I have. And this is something that me and Garth were looking at before this one. Garth, I think I'm going to point out, I hope we're on the same page here because we're not seeing the screen together. Okay. But you pointed out one that I'd like to talk about next. Go ahead with that one, okay? You remember that one?
Oh, yeah. You're
Okay,
talking about
please
the one that looks similar to what you saw in Arkansas?
Please, yes.
Okay, Otto, you have a picture of what looks like an Italian cypress tree among other hardwood trees, possibly even a cedar in the background or two. But in the foreground, just in front of those trees, you have a nice bright orb. Based on the tree size, it could be anywhere from maybe a foot or so in diameter, with a little bit of purplish flare coming off the left side. Are you familiar with that picture?
I have tons of orbs. Is it overlooking a lake or is it one of the other?
No, it only has a tree background.
Okay, that
And
is a Rancho Sierra Vista in Newbury Park. I've been photographing when I see stuff like that. Those are like the night videos, but daytime sighting.
The one tree looks fairly lit up. It could possibly be lower lighting.
Yeah.
Not high. Not
It's like
high
in the
medium.
morning. They were
So-
in the morning, I think.
Okay, like before dawn, or at dawn.
No, probably an hour after dawn.
Okay, and it might just be the aperture on your photography equipment that was making it a little dark, because the background seems fairly dark, though it does look like there's some daylight involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet you have this nice bright orb, pretty much in the center of the picture, with clear trees in the background. And you've seen these more than once.
Oh, tons of times.
hmm Well, I've been in that area as well, up north of that and south of it. I've never seen one that good, but I've definitely seen the orbs. So, Jake, you described almost the exact same thing as what I'm seeing in this photograph, but you described it a little closer to the top of the tree line that you were looking at.
Yeah.
And then you also said it moved to the left. You saw it in front of the trees and it was moving to the left. It had just a round appearance, and I believe you saw it with the night vision, and it just moved to the left.
That's right. That was that second encounter that when we were out there in the trees over by those large trees in the distance. That's exactly.
And you described it about like a fist size or something like that?
From the eye level, yes. Maybe just smaller, a little slightly smaller.
Okay, so it's even smaller. This looks quite large though compared to that.
It does.
This could be anywhere from 6 inches up to a foot, depending on how close it is to the camera. The closer it is to the camera, of course, it would be actually smaller. And if it's just in front of those trees, really close to those trees, then yeah, it could be a foot. If you look at that Italian cypress to the left of the orb, the top of an Italian cypress like that could easily be 6 inches. So it's right there.
Yeah. Looks like I have green and blues in this one with obviously some sort of lights coming through. They appear to be balls, orbs, with a little bit of red, a smaller red one in between. Does anybody see that one?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Peter, do you have that one?
Almost figured it out too.
Got a guess with you.
Let's see.
I need to know context to that.
Yeah.
Otto, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
You have a picture of a bluish light with a white center that has kind of a flaring out with blues and purples. And then there's red, mostly above it and below it, a lot more below it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that picture? I think that's
That
it.
was up on top of the hill in the same spot that I always see the other stuff.
What time was it? At night?
Yeah. And it was shot at 1200 ISO,
Okay.
or 12,000 ISO, sorry.
Go into that a little bit more. So what would cause a light like this? Was it traveling? Was it staying in place?
They don't really completely stay in place. Sometimes they split apart. Sometimes it, what I'm seeing though, under the white stuff, I'm seeing what looks like living things maybe.
This is something you've seen or your opinion?
I mean, I'm seeing it, but
Okay.
I'm not sure what exactly. You know how in some of the videos it will like flare and get bigger
Yes.
and then smaller and stuff. I think things are coming through that.
Let me ask you, Otto. Tell me about your photographic settings one more time. You said it was 1200 ASA?
Bingo.
12,000 actually.
12,000 ASA?
Yeah,
The ISO rating?
yeah.
Okay, and then
The
what was your
camera that-
aperture and your shutter speed?
shutter speed was almost like 2,000th of a second, I think.
And your aperture?
Aperture, not sure.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Because what you're describing is something that was taken with extremely fast speed, which means you're not letting a lot of light in for very long at all. So this could have been a daylight picture, as far as I know. You could literally cut that much light out with those kind of settings to create a picture that looks like it's in the dark, but obviously you got a pretty bright light that came through anyway.
Yeah.
It also looks like it could have been enhanced. I see different colors and things that don't look natural. Have you enhanced it at all?
Not as far as that, no.
So you didn't do any color enhancement or changes?
I may have enhanced some of it, but it won't change the color on my thing unless it's actually that color.
Okay.
Okay, Peter. So,
Did
but
you brighten it or dim it down at all? Did you change the brightness level or the contrast?
I probably did because it's so bright. It's just like
okay.
the objects are just crazy bright.
He had mentioned, Garth, that he had did some enhancements
I
to
also
the
have
photos.
a hard time picturing someone using 12,000 ASA. And what'd you say about 2,000 setting for the shutter speed?
Yeah.
So at night, unless you have some extremely good lighting, those are not the settings you use on a camera at night.
Well, it's a new camera.
Huh?
It's a Canon T7. It came with a crazy amount of settings. Right now it's only 6,400.
Otto, were these settings automatic or were these settings that you chose?
It was in the manual thing. I just, you change the settings and see what comes out. But they were really flaring at
it was
the time.
maybe semi-manual, semi-automatic, because you set one of the options, and then the rest of them automatically adjust for that? Is that kind of the way you did it?
Yeah, I didn't do a whole lot with it because these come out pretty good at night. With I've tried even lower ASAs, but I wanted to get as much detail as I could.
Yeah, I'm not so concerned about there not being details because we're familiar with these orbs at night not producing many details.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just shocked you were able to get a picture like this with those kind of settings. That really amazes me. What kind of camera do you have?
Technology. It's a Canon T7
Okay.
or
Okay. Yeah.
T7.
Yeah.
20,
A consumer grade, nice
almost
camera.
25 megapixel almost.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Really good.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're just coming out with an amazing low lux capability, a low lighting capability for these cameras these days. Maybe that's
Yeah, they are.
how he fortunately got this picture.
Mm.
Yep.
Let me ask you one other question, Otto. Was there a flash involved with this camera while you were taking this picture?
No, because the object was like a mile away.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have mattered. Okay, gotcha. And you were zoomed in? With,
Yeah.
What, a 600 millimeter?
300 millimeters.
300? Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
I blew it up, enlarged it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Yeah,
cropping.
and you actually blew it up pretty good. That's
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And so, where was this light flying by? Was it just in the air with no background but the sky, or was there plants, or was it close to the ground where you could have that kind of background too?
It's close
Mountains,
to
hills.
the mountain, how it dips. They're always in that spot. And then sometimes they'll move around, blink in and out. And sometimes it'll blink out and then appear pretty close. And I sent a video to him, to Jacob, a few days ago, I think it was, which actually shows it inside my yard, though.
Say that again.
Paying attention.
Say that again, Peter.
Yeah. The video I sent you, one of the last videos I sent you,
Okay.
shows. I was looking at what was above it that I didn't notice until I watched it later. On the fence, in front of the fence, was
Okay.
one of these.
It almost sounded like you said you saw this thing in your yard. Is that what you said?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It came into the yard.
Okay. Gentlemen, we're probably going to have to move on here. Let's move on to one more imagery, a little bit of imagery here before we conclude, okay? And take a look.
Do you have those videos?
I do have those videos too. I'd like to be able to show that. It appears to be over the horizon, just beyond a mountain of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Peter, tell me about that. Is that possibly just a tower? Is there a tower back there beyond the horizon?
No, there's actually nothing there. Not in that spot.
Okay. Could it have been maybe like a plane passing by? Some sort of
No.
object?
In fact, you see planes, they don't even attract me anymore because it's like so much dimmer than that light.
Okay.
The
How tall
plane
is this
light-
mountain?
Maybe, let me see. Well, hard to say. Maybe like
And how far
500
away?
feet.
How far away do you think you were from it?
I'm exactly about a mile.
Okay.
I can see it from where I am.
Right.
They're all located in that same area.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling through some of these videos right now of these orbs.
Mm-hmm.
The second one I have, don't want to try to get away from the other one, but we're running short on time here. So I have another video, 2 orbs on the horizon at an angle. Okay. And they're in place. They're not moving.
I think you might be seeing, like, there is actually a light on one side. It's further over from the other one.
Yeah,
That's somebody's
there's 3.
property.
Yeah, and that.
But then it would be the one on the left is the orb.
Right. The 2 on the left, on the angle to the left, they are, what would you call it? Pulsating. Their intensity of light is pulsating, and the one on the lower right is not pulsating. It seems to be more of a stationary light that might not be.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah,
like
it's somebody's house.
Yeah. So the other 2 lights you think might have been orbs?
Yeah, they were.
Mm-hmm. That does fit the pollination video of the 2 lights that he videoed in Papua New Guinea. They had a very quick pulsation that when you slowed the video down, you can see the pulsations. You really couldn't see it until you slowed it down. This, you could actually see the pulsations at full speed.
Yeah.
Definitely at a slower frequency.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing that's going to convince us, but it does seem to fit what I'm used to seeing. I'm familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
And it does fit what I'm used to in the parapsychology world. A little bit. Because we mention orbs. There's a lot of manifestations of orbs seen around worldwide. Okay. And this is where it's tough to try to find a common ground. Because when we talk about pterosaurs on this network, we know that there's a possible capability of bioluminescence.
Yeah.
But it's tough to say if this really is something like that, because with an organic specimen or creature, it's going to move. And a lot of these seem to be in place, pulsating. I'm not ruling out the possibility of such a creature. It's just that there tends to be more movement when you have something that flies. But maybe my fellow colleague would have a different idea about that.
Yeah, the ones that pollination videoed were not moving either.
Yeah.
He did see ones that moved, but the ones he videotaped did not move. They were stationary. One came on first. It had that frequency, that pulsation, the whole way through its major light up. And as it was dimming down, the other one had already lit up brightly. The first one dimmed back down all the way, and then the second one eventually dimmed down all the way as well. So they never moved. Very similar to what he just showed us.
Yeah.
I mean, like you say, Jake, these things cannot be verified by that, but it does fit the pattern. And there's overlaps in nature where various aspects in totally different locations of nature, different genres of nature. For example, a wave will break and curl over, like when you're going surfing, you're looking for that curl, that wave that you can get in the tube. That wave will break with the same curve as a ram's horn or a parrot's beak, or the arms of galaxies bend at the same curve. So I'm just saying, there are things you can see. Like when I went deer hunting, I would eventually see patterns of deer antlers in a lot of other places besides deer heads. I would see them in bushes. I would see them in trees. And it just points out there's an overlap in natural phenomenon throughout nature. And as researchers, we have to be able to weed that out. It's not like anybody's trying to lie here, and there may be some people that are trying to pull the wool over our eyes. But other people are just seeing phenomenon that match. And we have to figure out, do they match because of a similar pattern in nature, or are they actually pterosaurs? This has a good possibility. In my mind, this has a good possibility, but I would really need to see more detail, visit the site, maybe see some lights myself, and then come to a conclusion.
Which brings me to this question. How often do you see them, Peter?
It varies. It's like sometimes multiple nights in a row, and then won't see them for a while. And
Okay.
I've got, I don't know how many videos.
Okay.
But on one of them, a couple of them, it spreads apart though. Like
Okay.
a red one and a white one, and then go back together.
Okay.
I've heard of that. I've never seen it, but I have heard of it. I've speculated is that social activity, possibly mating behavior, things like that.
Yeah.
If it's pterosaurs. And I could point out some couple of cool things that maybe are overlapping on that. But again, it's just speculation when they separate and come back together.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, one last thing I want to take a look at before we let Peter go here. He has a very interesting video, and Garth, you'll see this on your end. It looks like there's something. He zoomed in on this one. It's one of the last videos I sent you, maybe one of the second to the last. It appears to be a shape. But, when you're zooming into things, everything gets, depending on the capability of the camera, things get more pixelated, grainy, and what we think may be some sort of organic creature inside there could be something else. It appears to be, when I'm looking at this, we've got a pulsation going on, but he's zoomed in quite a bit. It's really grainy. We got a lot of black and we got some blues. There appears to be some sort of strange object inside. But again, this could be just, I'm not going to say it's a lens flare or something like that. But there's something definitely there, without a doubt. There's some sort of object. It's just floating there. It looks like some sort of a mass, grayish mass.
Okay.
But really interesting. And if that one comes to mind, Peter, just let us know, because it looks like that's one of those zoomed in from, you started off on another video looking at this thing, and then you zoomed in a lot further. The video that it looks like
there's one that wraps around and that's the light. It's weird.
Yeah, I guess one way you could describe it as some sort of glowing dragonfly from the distance. It looks big.
Mm-hmm.
It could be just a zoomed in variation of the first one we looked at. But then as you zoom in, you start to see some sort of mass within this pulsating orb of some sort. Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does it come to mind?
I think I've shot a few of those.
Okay. All right. Peter, I appreciate you coming on the network and sharing what you have with us. Took a while, but we finally got you here. So thank you for the videos. Thank you for the imagery. It sounds like we have some sort of phenomena going on here that maybe eventually we could look into personally, in person.
Yeah.
See what we can do. But yeah, thank you so much again. I appreciate you.
You're welcome.
All right. We will chat with you again soon.
All right.
Okay. Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you, Otto.
Bye.
If you are looking for tactical supplies, look no further than 9/11 Supply located in Kaiser, Oregon. They have everything from hats, jackets, belts, pants from the 511 brand, and gloves. I got their pair of pants. I used them in Arkansas. Kept me warm the entire time. So the next time you're out looking for your monster, make sure you have the right gear. Gets the job done. 9/11 Supply for all your tactical needs.
Hey, Safari Guy here from Wildlife Safari. I've traveled all the way to Africa to bring you closer to some of the wildest animals on the planet. Only in Africa can you find this kind of action.
Hey, Safari Guy. This isn't Africa. This is Oregon.
Oh.
At Wildlife Safari, you'll discover a whole new world filled with amazing creatures right in your own backyard. Wildlife Safari, I-5, exit 119 in beautiful Southern Oregon. It's closer than you think.
Hey, can I get a ride?
Don't take a lot to keep me moving. It's gonna take a lot to make me stop. I'm racing to a 5 alarm. Should slow down, but I just can't stop. Move over if you see me coming. I've got the Midas touch. I feel the heat inside me. It's not enough, but it's a little too much. There's something out there, I can hear it calling. I wanna hold it, but I'm moving too fast. Everybody's always asking me, where is it, baby? Doesn't anybody know? It's burning up inside of me. Where is it, baby? Open up the door and let me go.
You are listening to Cryptozoological Talk on the RRN, Ropen Radio Network, a place where some would consider all this conversation to be too spooky, something they wouldn't want to listen to. But someone has to talk about it. That's why we do this. Just had a conversation with Peter Otto, looking over some of his files and images. And now we have to kind of come to a conclusion if we can. So what do you think? Well, based on what we're seeing, based on what we were able to gather from him. I should have got his age. He sounds young. I was originally thinking he was like maybe in his 40s or 50s.
I'm thinking he's at least that.
Yeah?
I
Okay.
think he's soft-spoken, though. He kind of comes across with a smaller, younger sound. But no, I think he could be, 40 plus.
Okay.
But no, I think he's got a lot of potential. He says he sees them all the time. He's taking pictures. This is, it's worthy of some investigation for sure.
Yeah, especially if you have quite a bit of phenomena as it is in California when it comes to potential pterosaur cases. I mean, California's a hotspot, would you say?
I think that the world's a hot spot, and we just need to go out and check things out.
Yeah.
They're being seen even in inner cities now. It's ridiculous. So once you get towards the suburbs and beyond into the country and the more wilderness areas,
Yeah.
they're everywhere. But of course, they're extremely elusive. They show off when they want, and it just gives this confusion. Like, what did we just see? Because we've been taught pterosaurs don't exist. This has got to be something else, either a figment of my imagination, a flicker of my eyelash in my eye, light flares from other lights around me. There's 100 explanations that you can dismiss these things.
Yeah.
But once he has gone to the trouble of photographing them, some of those don't convince me at all. Others, yeah, they look like, okay, I got to go check this out.
Yeah.
The first one that we were talking about with the creature capturing, what he described as possibly a Ropen grabbing a big bat out of the air. I mean, yeah, really cool picture, but I mean, to me, I even see feathers in the on the end of one wing of the predator. So it's just a bird of prey of some kind to me.
Yeah.
I can see there's some ways you can interpret it to see a kind of a pterosaur-like mouth involved with it. I think that's just the wings, just overlapping wings. And you look at them and they just overlap in such a way, and you kind of put that together. Oh, hey, that looks like a pterosaur beak. I think it's something as simple as that for that particular one. But the light in front of the trees, the light that he zoomed in on with the 300 millimeter at an incredible ASA of 1200
Yeah.
and shutter speed of 2000.
It's a lot.
I don't know what anybody is thinking of using those kind of settings at night. That would just give you a black screen. But if you have some extremely low lux cameras that are high end, I don't know, maybe Canon has really got that out there. I wasn't aware of it. I'm not
They
a
are
big
getting better,
photography
yeah.
guy. I just know some super basics. I don't know a lot, but it's a possibility. We're just seeing the extreme advance of consumer grade photography.
Yeah.
Pulling out images from the night with capabilities that didn't exist in cameras in the past when I was learning about cameras.
Yeah.
So, but either way, if this is legit and he really did take that picture and he got that kind of light, that one with the blue, white light with the blue flares and the red, that's amazing. That would really be cool, and it would definitely fit what you could see in pterosaur activity, in
Yeah.
my experience.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I was hoping. See, my wife is really skilled in photography. I'm not skilled in photography. You know something about photography too, so if there's.
Yeah, I know 40 years ago photography, and it's the basics.
Hey, that's all right.
And then they went automatic and digital, and then
Mirrorless.
they ramped up the capabilities in every aspect of photography and the cameras. Just amazing.
Yeah. You're familiar with the Anza Borrego lights, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell the audience a little bit about that because it actually fits this conversation.
The Anza Borrego lights, and I only know this from just the YouTube video. They're called the Anza Borrego ghost lights. And when you look at the presentation that they do in the video, and they're reading the accounts, the historical accounts, I think it's like in the early 1900s when they were making a railroad, I believe, between San Diego and
Yep. Mm-hmm.
something like Las Vegas or something like that. And in the process of making the railroad through this deserty area, they had to go through Anza Borrego. And Anza Borrego is, just real harsh conditions, very dry, very hot. There's mountains, there's terrain they have to go around. They have the world's largest wooden trestle bridge. Of course, a trestle bridge that can hold up a railroad, or a train. So this would be a stout bridge, and very well constructed, real strong, still there today. But they had to shut down the railroad because, well, they had business issues, and it all started when they were making the railroad. The men that were making the railroad were tormented by lights that were in the area. They were flying by, and of course, when you work in the desert, you get used to working as early as possible and as late as possible to avoid the heat in the middle of the day. So they could work deep into the evening, and they can work early morning before sunrise. And so you'd be working basically in dark conditions regularly. And so during some of these dark conditions, they had lights coming, and they were freaking the men out. Of course, when they don't think of them as, a simple animal that can produce light, like a giant firefly, like, what we know of as the pterosaur capabilities,
Hmm.
um, they just assumed it was evil spirits.
Yeah.
I don't know if the UFO mentality was there in the early 1900s, but I do think they would uh, be afraid of the possibility of them being the lights being evil spirits, tormenting spirits, bothering poltergeist kind of spirits. Well, time went on, and they completed the railroad. And by the way, they had a lot of guys just went and walked off the job. They just couldn't handle it. They left.
Yeah.
And so they'd keep replacing them, and eventually they got it done. So that obviously cost money for the business. And then they were continuing to have issues. What would you call it? Business model issues that they were just struggling to make ends meet. And they had a big load, and they were taking it, I don't know which direction they were going, but they were taking a big load to their destination through the Anza Borrego area, and a giant, large light appeared before the train. The train conductor or engineer assumed it was an oncoming train with its light on.
Mm.
It was that bright, and it was about the right height and size. So he slammed the brakes on. The whole train jackknifed and rolled down the hill.
Oh, that's right.
They lost the whole load, the expensive cargo they were carrying. I think some lives were lost of the people that were the engineer and conductor and maybe other train personnel. And so that was it. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. And the Anza Borrego Railroad no longer exists because of it, even though the tracks are still there. And there's a great video. You just check it out on YouTube. The Anza Borrego, and I think Anza is A-N-Z-A. Could be wrong.
Borrego with 2 R's.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
Really interesting because...
Ghost lights or UFO lights. I can't remember which it said.
Yeah, and this is where the whole thing about the Will-O-Wisp comes into play, because it's known as the ghost light, the spook light. Okay. And if it is phosphorescence from decayed plants in marshy areas, why does it chase people? I have reports here in Oregon, Alkali Lake, of these things chasing people. So you can't tell me that's phosphorescence. Now, maybe if it's staying in one area, kind of sounds like Marfa, Texas. You know about Marfa. We know about the Brown Mountain lights. But from what I understand with Marfa is the lights are staying in place. They're not going after anyone. They're not floating around. They're staying in one particular spot. Then now the phosphorescence could explain that one. Anza Borrego? No. Not when you have something that's coming after you. If what's true, if the testimonies of these individuals is in fact true. So here's a question. What do we know about this bioluminescence characteristics with pterosaurs? Does it blink? Does it stay steady lit? Does it change colors? From what I know, from what I understand, what Garth understands, I'm hearing it change color. They change colors. And there's a differential there. There is a blinking. There is a steady lit. A fashion of some sort. From your own experience, I just want the audience to understand this part. If there's a difference between the pterosaurs and something else that we may be dealing with. Like I said, is it paranormal or is it cryptozoological? Is there a connection? Or maybe, well, it isn't at all. Maybe it is supernatural or some sort. But what can you tell me about the lights from these creatures that we know of so far that maybe the audience may miss out on?
Right. Well, the lights of the creature, which is a study in and of itself. You can study the biology of the creature, but the light phenomenon that it produces, very vast, It has a lot of variation um, in multiple ways. In fact, I think I wrote down all the different ways it can manifest light. I think I had a list of 15 ways it can manifest light. And I don't think I'm done. It more come to mind as I think about them. But in general, the creature can look like a small ball of light, just stationary ball of light. They can nearly hover with the slightest breeze. Very unusual when you think of a bat and insects and birds. You don't see those things hovering. Now, a hummingbird can hover because
Sure.
he has these amazing wings. Now, think of it, a creature that can do similar things to like that, where you're literally holding geographically still in the air, but he's doing it with still locked in wings. So they're adjusting the wings, and they are moving, possibly flapping, but you don't see that in the lights at all.
Yeah.
My thought is it's like a kite, and it's riding the wind currents. I think it's more of a master of flying wind currents and thermals than even eagles and vultures are. I think because they're not covered with feathers, but they're actually covered with skin and maybe very light peach-like hair, peach fuzz-like hair. It gives them extra sensitivity, perhaps. This is all speculation, but
Sure.
I'm trying to just match what I'm seeing with what possibly we could see in the fossil record and how they might correspond. I've seen these creatures just hover, and you could just slightly see them moving in the wind as they just barely adjust, and with other similar stars or similar star-like creatures next to them. So they're just in relationship to each other. They're moving
Unison. Yeah.
in unison, but then one will just take off, and you can see they're not connected.
Kind of like what Peter had said when he saw them together and then they separated.
Yeah, like I was mentioning, possible social activity. So they can exist, they can manifest, I should say, as a simple ball of light, or they can light up while they're moving, so it looks like a streak of light with the simple ball-like appearance, just moving quickly.
Yeah.
Sometimes they can leave a streak behind them, some kind of bioluminescent material, maybe an aerosol, or perhaps some other kind of material that is left in a streak behind them that sparkles. And if you're lucky enough to see it low enough to the ground, you could actually see it slowly falling. But up in the sky, you can't make that out. There's nothing
Yeah.
to compare it to. And so you could see literally a streak of light that looks almost indistinguishable to a shooting star.
Here's a question. Here's a big question, though, for you, Garth. Yeah. And I know that someone would want to ask this. Does the light really blur out the rest of the creature if it is a pterosaur? Is the light that powerful that you can't see the form of the creature?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. What shape is a firefly when you see the light of the firefly, especially at a few, across the yard or across a field?
He's got a good point.
You can't make out a thing.
He's right.
When it comes to morphology, you can't see what its shape is or anything. What you're seeing is the abdomen lighting up.
Yeah.
But you just can't tell that from a distance. These things may have even more going on than that. For some reason, they could be even fairly close to you, and you still don't see any kind of body shape. I'm trying to think if I have seen a body shape with the light involved. The only time I've seen the body shape is after the light goes out. I have seen the black body shape. It's blacker than the night sky, so I can see a contrast. The night sky had a, the dim background lighting to it, and it was distinguishable. And so I was able to see that. Other of my researcher associates have seen the whole outline of the creature with parts of itself lit up, whether it was the wings lit up or whether it was the body that was lit up. One description, it was a historical description of one of these creatures landing on top of a bank of all places in a early 1900s picture, black and white.
1903?
Possibly.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't believe it's an actual picture of the creature, but it's a picture of the bank, and I think they superimposed what the description was of the creature onto this photograph. But it had just the head crest of the creature lit up. Fascinating, but all of that is all within feasibility based on the observations as researchers that we have taken note of.
Yeah.
Excellent. It all fits.
And
that these creatures can light up pretty much any part of their body. Go ahead.
Okay, well, that's actually what I wanted to pinpoint.
Go ahead.
I've had people ask that question before. Could the light really be so lit up that it could, the rest of the body fades? And like you said, just look at a firefly. I've seen fireflies up close in southern Illinois, and they, you see a streak of light. It's that beautiful. I love those little critters. They're just fascinating. Yeah. So the same thing could be said for pterosaurs. So I love it, every bit of it. So lastly, before I let you go, sir, it makes me wonder, when we talk will-o-wisps or orb phenomena, and these are orbs that move, for a fact, they are seen in the strangest of places. And they seem to cause harm in some ways. And I think that in many ways, we're probably dealing more with a supernatural thing. Okay. I'm not ruling out pterosaur at all, because, if we were to consider what pterosaurs do in Papua New Guinea, where they would actually be intrigued by a grave site, it's hard to say that would be the case here in the States. I don't know for sure. But a lot of these will-o-wisps have been seen in graveyards. They've been seen in different areas, and they tend to want to lead people astray, or they tend to be some sort of supernatural presence that is bent on something else. And I think you'll know the difference if you ever come across something like that. And believe it or not, we've had people in the field who believe in the pterosaur phenomena that have seen lights along the Yakima River. And that was Peter Beach, who Garth Guessman is well familiar with. Tried to get him on the show today, but that didn't happen. We'll see if we can get him at another time. But yeah, this is a good conversation. Something that needs to be brought out, because you have two different sides here. And you have some who would say, oh, it's a natural occurrence. But if it is natural, why do they chase people? No, there's something more to it. You can ask any parapsychologist, they'll tell you differently. But whether or not others choose to believe that, that's up to them. Yeah. As always, Garth, I appreciate you. I appreciate your insights and your knowledge and your friendship. I'm glad to have you here, and we will continue these shows together. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I might have to get you that green screen, though.
That would be nice.
But what happened to that wall of pterosaur stuff?
Nothing but my messy house to show you at the moment. So.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We'll get you set up. We'll get you taken care of. But I appreciate you, sir. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless. Bye-bye. There's my image. Right as I'm saying goodbye, there goes my image. Supernatural or cryptozoological? In many ways, this would point to supernatural. Mexico has its own spirits that are equivalent to the will-o-wisp as well. In one particular case, they are called brujas. They're witches, spiritual witches. Folklore explains the phenomenon to be witches who transformed into these lights. The reason for this, however, varies according to the region. The swampy area of Massachusetts known as the Bridgewater Triangle has folklore of ghostly orbs of light. And there have been modern observations of these ghost lights in this area as well. The list goes on, really. While it mostly takes part in harmless, mischievous acts, the will-o-wisp sometimes sucks the blood of children, according to some legends. And they say it also is a soul that is traveling. Well, from a paranormal, parapsychologist point of view, they may be right. They've been seen all over the world. Some, just to mention, the Arbrid-Seneth Light of Missouri, Bragg Road Ghost Light of Saratoga of Texas, Brown Mountain Lights of North Carolina, Gurdon Light of Arkansas. Oh yeah, there was the road that we investigated as well where there was a spook light. Remember that? Hornet Ghost Light, the spook light of Missouri, Oklahoma. Mako Light of North Carolina. Marfa Lights of Texas. Paulding Light of Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Gahoki Light of Eastern Virginia. The Luz Mala, Anza, Borrego. And finally, Alkali Lake. I'm sure there's a lot more that have been seen all over the place. Should we rule out the case of pterosaurs or ropens? No, not entirely. However, I feel like I want to lean more towards the supernatural with this case. Okay. It could be phosphorus gas from decayed plants. And that's why some would think it's chasing them, but it's really not. It's just moving on because that's where the phosphorescence is. It's floating. Okay, it's carrying on that stretch. But let's not overlook the fact that ropens are nocturnal. They can glow. Maybe not all of them, but they can glow. Let's not overlook the fact that they've been considered to be grave robbers, but are they like that in the States? I don't know. I have nothing to back that up. No one has seen anything like that. Has a pterosaur been spotted in a graveyard? That's something else too. Have we seen that? I've heard of orbs in graveyards. I've seen them in graveyards. These are spirits. In some cases, they're known as the whites. Now, we may not be able to see them with our own physical eyes. Spiritual eye is something else. That's why cameras can play a big part in spotting paranormal activity, which has been the case with people spotting what they believe to be some sort of being in this light. And that's why they call it the whites. Creepy stuff. So, not going to rule out pterosaur completely, but I think you know where we're going with this. As a matter of fact, folks, you want to see this video here. I took these in February of 2022. And they're kind of shocking because they came in over my home. And there was no sound, no engine that I could hear, no plane noise. These strange-looking orbs floated into picture in unison. And as they came over my property, they stopped. Very odd. Now, maybe this is nothing. Maybe there's a logical explanation for this. Could be some sort of equipment. Who knows, really? I just didn't hear any sound. There was no sound from there's no engine, no propulsion system. Was it a drone? No. Drones don't move like that. I know this because I work with drones. I know all the types of drones. These are not drones. But you decide for yourself. But I find it really creepy that these things have been seen over my home more often. Keep something in mind, though, folks. We're always looking forward. We're never looking up. So we got to keep an open mind about these things. These things are there. But unless we're looking for them, we may not find them. But all of a sudden, it seems like these things are really making themselves known. For what reason? I don't know. Hopefully it's not Big Brother watching over me here. I hope you enjoyed the show today. It was great to have Peter Otto here. It was really difficult to try to understand what it was that he filmed or took pictures of. We did our best, but I'm glad that we could have a conversation about it, and I'm glad he could come out and try to show us what he's captured. He's got some great photos there. Those are kind of difficult to get sometimes. But there's definitely some activity in Ventura, California. And if it continues, I think we're going to have to investigate that. So you'll come along for the ride. Lights have been clearly seen. Orbs have been clearly seen in Marfa, Anza, Borrego, Ventura, California. So these are actual real things that you can see. Even if you want to go to Brown Mountain, look at the lights there. It's a real phenomena. I can't for sure say this is a Will-O-Wisp, nor can I clearly say it's a pterosaur phenomena, but it's really, really fascinating, and that's why I wanted to talk about it. In the meantime, seek the truth, and may God bless every one of you on the other side of the screen. I'm your host, Jacob Guerra. Until next time, we'll see you soon on the Ropen Radio Network.